instance in JSP. What is JSP? JSP stands for Java Server Pages. This technology is used to create dynamic web pages in the form of hypertext markup language, that is HTML. They have embedded Java code pieces in them. They are an extension to the servlet technology and generate servlet from a page. It is common to use both servlets and JSP pages in the same web pages. How does JSP work? The JSP container has a special servlet called page compiler. All HTTP requests with URLs that match the .jsp file extension are forwarded to this page compiler by the configuration of servlet container. The servlet container is turned into JSP container with this page compiler. When a .jsp page is first called, the page compiler passes and compiles the .jsp page into the servlet class. The JSP servlet class is loaded into the memory on the successful compilation. For the subsequent calls, the servlet class for the .jsp page is already in memory. Hence, the page compiler servlet will always compare the timestamp of the JSP servlet with the JSP page. If the JSP page is more current, recompilation is necessary. With this process, once deployed, JSP pages only go through the time-consuming compilation process once. How does JSP initialization takes place? When a container loads a JSP, it invokes the JSP init method before servicing any request. So inside the JSP init, all the initialization code will be there and initialization takes place. What is Java Server Template Engines? A Java Servlet Template Engine is a technology for separating presentation from processing. Template engines have been developed as open source product to help get HTML out of the servlets. These template engines are intended to be used together with pure code components, that is servlets, and use only web pages with scripting code for the presentation part. There are two popular template engines, that are Web Macro and FreeMarker. What are servlets? JSP pages are often combined with servlets in the same application. The JSP specification is based on the Java servlet specification. A servlet is a piece of code that adds new functionality to a web server. Just like CGI and proprietary server extensions such as NS API and IS API. Compared to other technologies, servlets have a number of advantages like platform and vendor independence, integration, efficiency, scalability, robustness and security. Explain the life cycle of a servlet. A Java class that uses servlet application programming interface is a servlet. The servlet API consists of many classes and interfaces that define some methods. These methods make it possible to process HTTP requests in a web server independent manner. A servlet is loaded when a web server receives a request that should be handled by it. Once a servlet has been loaded, the same servlet instance is called to process succeeding request. Eventually, the web server needs to shut down the servlet typically when the web server itself is shut down. There are three lifecycle methods. They are init, service and destroy. Once at first request or at server start, it calls the init method. For every request, it calls the service method. Once when server shuts down, it calls the destroy method. These are the three lifecycle methods of a servlet. What is the difference between JSP and JavaScript? JSP is a server-side scripting language as it runs on the server, whereas JavaScript runs on the client. Commonly, JSP is more used to change the content of a web page and the JavaScript for the presentation. Both are quite commonly used on the same page. What is JSP expression language? Expression language was introduced in JSP 2.0. It is a mechanism that simplifies the accessibility of the data stored in Java Bean components and other objects like request, session, and application, etc. There are many operators in JSP that are used in expression language like arithmetic and logical operators to perform an expression. What are the types of elements in Java server pages? There are three types of elements in Java server pages that are directive, action, and scripting elements. Let's understand one by one. Directive elements. @page. It defines page-dependent attributes such as scripting language, error page, and buffering requirements. @include includes a file during the translation phase. @taglib declares a tag library containing custom actions used on the page. Action elements. JSP use Bean. This is for making the Java Beans component available on a page. JSP get property. This is used to get a property value from a Java Beans component and to add it to the response. JSP set property. This is used to set a value for a Java Beans property. JSP include. This includes the response from a servlet or JSP page during the request processing phase. JSP forward. This is used to forward the processing of a request to a JSP page or servlet. JSP param. This is used for adding a parameter value to a request given to the another servlet or JSP page by using JSP include or JSP forward. JSP plugin. This is used to generate HTML that contains the proper client browser dependent elements which are used to execute an applet with Java plugin software. Scripting elements. Open percentage with a closed percentage. Scriptlet used to embed scripting code. Open with percentage equal to and closed with percentage. It's an expression used to embed Java expressions when the result shall be added to the response. Also used as runtime action attribute values. Open with percentage exclamation and closed with percentage. It is declaration used to declare instance variables and methods in the JSP page implementation class. If you like this video, please share with your friends.